From the News Channel 5 Network and the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, this is State of the Workforce.
And welcome to State of the Workforce. I'm Chris Cannon. Popular destinations across Tennessee attract close to 150 million visitors to the state each year. And we're talking about the business of tourism in just a minute. But first, we do have a workforce update for you. The state's two largest cities now have brand new American job centers. In Memphis, the AJC has moved to the popular Crosstown Concourse. This historic building once housed a massive Sears store and distribution center. Now the state's largest AJC sits on the 6th floor. It's a convenient location in a complex that attracts a lot of foot traffic and will definitely be a game changer in the workforce assets of Memphis. And in Nashville, the state's workforce partner has teamed up with Nashville State Community College to open the city's new AJC inside the Workforce Development Center at its East Davidson campus on Elm Hill Pike. Job seekers and employers can find no-cost services at both locations that will have a tremendous impact on those areas of our state. Now let's focus on the business of tourism in Tennessee. Commissioner Mark Ezell heads the state's Department of Tourism Development, and Sara Beth Urban is the president and CEO of the Tennessee Hospitality and Tourism Association. Thank you both for joining us today.
Good to be here, Chris.
Commissioner Ezell, when it comes to tourism, some people might not see the value in it, and that's something you didn't see at first too, but have quickly changed your mind. What changed your mind?
Absolutely. Well, I didn't have a lot of tourism experience, but I was a longtime businessman, business owner of Purity Dairies here in Nashville, and learned a lot about how you build companies and nonprofits. You need to have great brands. And once we got to study about all the brands in tourism in Tennessee, what amazing products we have, especially if you eliminate the two distractions. We don't have a beach and we don't have casinos. But when you take away those two things, Tennessee actually has better tourism assets than anybody in the nation. So what we went to the governor and said is we need more money because when you have a great brand, you tell more people. And that's what we've been doing these last several years and had some really terrific success. And then I think the second thing that I didn't know as a seventh generation Middle Tennessean and a longtime business owner was that we love that we don't have an income tax.
Yeah, we all do.
And we love that we don't have a state property tax. But what I didn't realize is with our sales tax, that's how governments are able to take in money and serve the people of Tennessee. And when we realized that piece, we said, how do we help grow volume from visitor spending sales tax? Non-Tennesseans coming in, spending their money, we tax them and they go home. And
pay for our services.
And pay for our services. And that means Tennesseans gain when we get more visitors. And both of those, how good our tourism assets are, led to a lot of spending money and growth. And then how much money that is generating for us to be able to spend on Tennesseans it's really an honor for our team to work on that.
Almost pays for itself. The money you're putting out there gets that money back.
More than pays for itself. And we'll talk about that possibly a little while, but more than 10, 15 to 1, what we're spending gets generated for Tennesseans.
Can't beat those numbers. And Sara Beth, we have some heavy-hitting places. We have downtown Nashville, we have Beale Street, we have Sevierville, Dollywood, but there are tourism opportunities throughout the state. How does your association make sure everybody's getting a little piece of that pie?
Absolutely. Well, it's vitally important, as the commissioner said. It's about, we're a sales tax driven state. And so when visitors from outside the state of Tennessee come to our communities and spend their dollars on hotels, restaurants, museums, attractions, those dollars are able to come back into our community. They're able to employ more people, raise those people's salaries, and create a larger tax base within our communities. And so as an association that represents the entire state from Memphis to Mountain City, it's so important for us, for every city and county, to be able to take advantage of the opportunities of tourist development. And so that's making sure that, whether it's Stewart County and Fort Donelson National Battlefield, it's Bell Buckle with the RC Cola and Moon Pie Festival, or any number of our rural communities, we want to make sure that they're able to take advantage of the same opportunities. We know that there's tremendous growth in our major areas, Nashville, Sevier County, Memphis. We want to continue to see that trajectory go upwards. We want to make sure that everyone from all corners of the state are able to participate in this thing that's going to build their local economy.
And Commissioner, we previewed this, but what's the difference between a visitor and a citizen and the impacts it can have on the state? It's not just those tax dollars, but there are a lot of other impacts that are coming with that.
A lot. And again, a business that wanted residents and citizens to buy my milk or our ice cream.
Sure.
What didn't realize, and therefore as a business, what makes a profit? That you have a lot of volume and you have a good margin. Well, what we have is that sales tax. That's one of those higher margin sales taxes than anyone in the country that allows us then, let's go get more volume. That's what we've been spending our time doing, because volume and margin, the profit is the tax savings for Tennesseans. And what people might not know is we have the 5th most tax savings as residents from our visitors of any state.
Wow.
We're 5th in the nation. And that's what gets us excited. And then the second thing about a citizen that I've learned is we require a lot of services as citizens. We need schools, we need hospitals, we need a lot of the infrastructure that honestly visitors, they need a hotel room and a restaurant and an attraction. All those are paid by the private sector. And so it's a perfect situation. They come, we tax them, they enjoy it, have a great
have fun,
time.
go tell their friends and come back.
And they go home.
Yeah.
And so that double benefit, that it's high dollars coming in. And last year, Chris, the industry brought in $2 billion.
Wow.
And our budgets are $50 million. So you can kind of do the math. We're 2% of that. The other 98% goes to education and things we all care about as Tennesseans.
It is a big industry, and a lot of people, Sara, Beth, when they think of this industry, they think of a honky-tonk or they think of Dollywood. But hospitality and tourism really spans a lot of employment sectors. Kind of go over how big of an impact and how many different types of occupations are out there for folks.
Absolutely. Yes, like you said, a lot of people have a very small visual of what they think of when they think of hospitality and tourism, but there are so many opportunities because, you know, our association doesn't just represent hotels and attractions. We also have restaurants. We also have the service members that support those. So again, you have to look at all of the different occupations that are supporting the hospitality and tourism industry, whether that's accounting, legal services, marketing, all of those different aspects go into creating a strong occupational workforce for us. But then on top of that, the other side of it is that our destination marketing organizations work with economic and community development a lot because, again, when companies are looking to relocate, they're not just looking for good schools, roads, and tax breaks. Those are important, but the other side of it is the quality of life. What are their employees going to get when they come to a community? I love a book that was written by an Oklahoma City mayor from several years ago. 30 years ago, they were trying to attract some major corporations and were having trouble because of the quality of life in Oklahoma City wasn't strong enough. And so they really focused on turning that around. That's something in Tennessee we don't have a problem with, fortunately.
Yeah.
Most of our major areas, even in our rural areas, people want to come here and relocate their businesses and be a part of this community because there is so much to do. And that comes from a strong infrastructure of hospitality and tourism.
And Commissioner, Sara Beth mentioned the rural areas, and how important is it that they take advantage of these tourism dollars? Because maybe big industry, maybe they're not going to land that 1,000 employee plant, but they have some great spots that people want to come see. How important is that to the overall economy of Tennessee?
It's just huge. And first of all, Sara Beth and her team do a fabulous job. And then we've got an amazing hospitality industry. Our tourism and leisure group, well, they've helped us the last 5 years. As I said, Governor Lee gave us money. We doubled our budget. We were telling more people because our job's to inspire people to come or to create customers, but our industry has been so good. They've helped us be, of the top 40 tourism states in America, the fastest growing the last 5 years.
Wow.
That's only getting accomplished if you've got great partners that are taking care of the customer. Our job's to inspire them, try to get them to come, and then second, they're counting on us. How do you send customers our way? Because they've got to work on employing people and investing in assets and all the pieces. It'd be really nice if they had someone help them with the customer side or the revenue side, and it's really been our privilege to try to do that.
All right, well, great conversation so far, and there's much more to come. When we come back, we will tackle the topic of finding hospitality's workforce here in Tennessee. It's a critical component to ensuring the success of our state's tourist attractions, like Dollywood. We'll be right back with more State of the Workforce. And we are continuing our conversation with Commissioner Mark Ezell from the Department of Tourism Development and Sara Beth Urban from the Tennessee Hospitality and Tourism Association. And Commissioner Ezell, your department can do everything it can and brings all these people in, but if there isn't a workforce to work these attractions that you're bringing people here, it's a mess. So the workforce is really important.
Absolutely, and I love what Commissioner Thomas has done in labor and workforce as she's really prioritized it. And I think, again, it came from that data that says this is about how much sales tax can be generated that services Tennesseans. And when people can't get enough people to clean rooms or be chefs in the kitchen, then suddenly those organizations cannot take care of that visitor. We can't generate that revenue. So it's really critical, and why I'm so grateful for Sara Beth and what this department is doing to come along and say these jobs are important for how Tennessee grows and continues to be a success in the future.
And it's great to have an association that can work with all of these industries. What are your members telling you about the struggles they are facing, finding that workforce to keep the doors and lights on?
Absolutely. It's as simple as there are more jobs than there are people applying for them. There's definitely a workforce shortage right now. We're still struggling from that and trying to figure out how to lure people back to this industry. We're still down thousands of jobs post-COVID. And so working with the department to create programs like reentry, training high school students, really changing the narrative around the hospitality and tourism industry and allowing people to know that it is a career path. It is not just a part-time or a seasonal job. There's so much more to it. So I think that's part of it. But at the end of the day, yes, we've got more jobs than we have people applying for them right now.
And that might be part of the problem. When someone thinks of a hospitality job or a tourism job, it's, running an attraction at Leatherwood or serving at a restaurant. But you can really do from start to finish your entire career. How important is that for people to know?
Well, and it's a secret.
Yeah.
As a person who ran a manufacturing and distribution company where our wages might start higher than a lot of people in leisure and hospitality, but what I've seen, in fact, we were in Knoxville just this week listening to business owners talk about their key managers of large hotels that started in housekeeping or started in the kitchen or started on the front desk. It's truly one of those where if people will get in and work hard and take care of the customer, the sky's the limit, even within the same company, because people I heard the term grow your own so many times that I think makes them unique. And why it was important for us to keep that pipeline going, because it also feeds then the managers and those who are taking those higher paying jobs sooner than later.
And what does that ladder look like? How far can someone go? What are the sky's the limit? I mean, really, if you're talking about running a multi-million-dollar company, that's a pretty big job.
Absolutely. I mean, we have plenty of people who run or GMs of hotels or manage multiple companies, hospitality management companies, who may not necessarily have a 4-year college degree. Now, there is definitely a place for people to get their college degree. I myself was adjuncted at MTSU in their hospitality and tourism management program, and there's a great opportunity there to grow your knowledge. But at the same time, experience in the industry is so valuable. It's one of those really wonderful industries where getting in at the ground level can mean that you can work your way up to the C-suite.
And Commissioner Ezell, what is your message to these industry stakeholders about being proactive, just to get out there and find that and find different ways to generate that workforce and keep and retain that workforce?
Well, I think ever since COVID, which affected leisure and hospitality more than anyone else, the industry's been desperate for workers. What I hope is the new pieces are there are more of us coming on to say what you're doing is really critical to all the things we're doing in Tennessee, and that's why we want to make sure we're connecting them to all the resources that they have, because the message is very clear. A worker there helps all Tennesseans, and that we want them to know, hey, you can talk to our labor and workforce, you can talk to our hospitality associations, even those of us in tourism, because we know workforce is critical. 360,000 people are in that area. It's the 4th or 5th largest in the state of Tennessee, with growth projected to be greater in that area than almost any other segment in Tennessee. So we better all get in the boat to try to help these wonderful businesses, small and large, go find people who will find fulfilling careers in tourism, leisure, and hospitality. I think the message is there's more people out there thinking about you than there used to be out of the governor's administration, and that's a good thing.
And you mentioned COVID, which it's hard to believe it's been 5 years, but that really changed every workplace. And I would assume it has changed the tourism and hospitality industry as well. And it's not the same hospitality industry that it was 5 years ago. Is that safe to say?
Absolutely, but I think we're trying to get back to that. You know, at the end of the day, we want people to come and enjoy and take in the sights and the sounds and everything there is about Tennessee. And so we know that that's part of the struggle, is making sure that people understand that we are getting back to normal, whatever the new normal is, but we are getting back to normal, and that there is room for them, whether that is as a visitor or as part of the workforce.
What do you see the next 5 years in tourism and hospitality in this state looking like? Is that something that is just going to keep going like gangbusters, or is it going to level out? Or I think, boy, it's just the last 10 years have been amazing.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
The data says, STR says that Tennessee, even though we've been 3 times as big in our hotel pipeline the last 5 years, is the #1 state in hotel pipeline for the next 5 years. So we've got some growth trajectories that are just significant. At the same time, we grew more market share during COVID because of our great outdoors. Now people can come back and add music and culinary, our family fun attractions. It allows us to have so many things that we think we can hold on to those market shares. So we believe there'll be probably a little bit of flattening in some of our areas that have had 30 and 40% growth these last few years, but holding on to that market share, holding on to, for us, we want the $2 billion of visitor taxes that we get to help spend on other people. So it's a little of both, but the future got to be described as bright because of the great industry we have.
No, that's great. Well, an interesting conversation, and really how workforce and hospitality and tourism in the state really are intersected. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, still ahead, we are heading to Gatlinburg. We'll talk to someone who is in the tourism trenches, working at it every day. The general manager of the Greystone Lodge on the river talks to us about how she's recruiting a workforce. That's coming up next. Jackie Leatherwood is the general manager of the Greystone Lodge on the river. She joins us from Gatlinburg, one of Tennessee's hottest tourist attractions. Jackie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
In the years that you've been in the tourism and hospitality industry, how has it changed, and how has that changed the workforce needs of that industry?
Well, a lot of it is technology based. I mean, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, and just to see how hospitality has evolved is mind-boggling, thinking about where we were 30 years ago as to where we are today. And it doesn't just mean technology from, marketing and advertising. It's just from an overall operational standpoint. The needs that you have from employees, the knowledge that you need for your front desk now is so different. It has just really evolved based on, the growth of the IT system in our industry.
And when you're looking to hire someone, what skills are you looking for? What qualities are you looking for? What makes a good employee at the Greystone?
In the hospitality industry, most of the time when you're looking in an interview with someone, you see how relatable they are, because the majority of our interaction with guests is personal contact. And so when you can find someone that is, has the compassion and the kindness and truly loves dealing with people and working alongside others, it's such a unique opportunity to bring that person into the hospitality industry and let them shine, because you can see when someone really truly has the heart for hospitality.
When you bring that person in, or just trying to get that person in for that interview, what challenges are you seeing in Sevier County in East Tennessee for hiring hospitality and tourism employees?
It has changed a lot.
I bet.
The growth in, from a hotel perspective, which is what I do, the number of hotels in our area has exploded. So we're all looking for that same employee, that same front desk clerk, that same assistant GM, salesperson, marketing, maintenance, housekeeping. We're all looking for that same person. And so I think just the challenge is just there's so many opportunities for someone that wants to work in our industry here in Sevier County that, they have the opportunity to pick and choose. And so we try really hard. If we see someone that we want to be part of our team, we really try to get them onboarded, because, having a good employee is such a huge part of your business success.
How big of a role do you play as an employer in training new employees, or even employees that have been there for a while? Is that educational factor a key part of what you're doing?
Education is huge, not only in onboarding, but in continuing to educate the current employees that you have, because, as we said, everything is always evolving. Years ago, your housekeepers didn't show a room clean on an iPad. They, gave a report to someone and they did it. So everything is constantly changing. And so I always say that we are educated daily, because there's always something new and something changing and something new coming down the pike from, whether it's a guest interaction experience or, new products or just new trends. There's always something new to learn. And I think you have to have an open mind and not get stuck in a rut thinking this is the way we've always done it, because we have to continue to evolve as we want to grow.
We have just a few seconds left. Can you tell me a little bit about, in this industry, what that pay versus benefit mentality is for an employee, and can that help or hurt you?
And it has changed a lot. Back in the day, people were so concerned with, their future and having all the benefits, the retirements, they think. What we've noticed more recently is that people are just very concerned about what they're going to make and what they're going to take home, because that is the impact on their life, is that paycheck. And I think that, we still offer benefits here at our hotel. We have several things. Employees now have options to opt in or opt out. But the majority of the employees just want to make a living, and they want a certain lifestyle that they're looking for. And I think that as we've seen it change through the years, or I have seen it change, it is becoming more about their take-home pay, what they're going to make for a week's work.
All right, Jackie. Well, you are in the trenches every day. We appreciate you sharing your perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. And, we're very appreciative for all that you all do for our industry. So thank you so much.
We'll see you soon in Sevierville. Thank you. And that is the state of Tennessee's workforce. Thanks for joining us today. You can learn more about the top programs and services the department has for Tennesseans at tnworkready.com. And of course, you can find great content on all of our social media channels. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time on State of the Workforce.